If they built a roller coaster for road racing drivers, it would look a lot like Road Atlanta. The 2.54-mile, 12-turn circuit nestled in the Red Earth Hill Country, 35 miles north of Atlanta. Road Atlanta is today home to the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series highlight event, the 1,000-mile Petite Le Mans. It also hosts SCCA National and Regional Amateur Sports Car Racing and the newly reborn Trans Am Series. From the day the track opened in the fall of 1970 with the running of an SCCA Can-Am race, drivers have found themselves alternately mesmerized and also terrified by the serpentine rhythms of this challenging circuit. The simple lap begins with a gut-sucking, very fast uphill right-hand sweeper, followed by a left-hander over the crest of a hill and a right into the downhill and uphill combination called the S's. Then a brief downhill straightaway, followed by the bank 90-degree fast turn 6 and almost immediate hard braking for the slowest, tightest corner on the course. Turn 7 leads onto the so-called back straight, which actually winds its way right and left and up over a crest and then downhill. A gentle right, followed by a sharp left and right and left, were added in 1996. This eliminated perhaps the scariest few hundred feet of pavement in North America. Road Atlanta's notorious dip, a suspension bottoming down and up, taken by the fastest cars at nearly 200 miles an hour, which was then followed by a very hard braking uphill through the thread, the needle, blind apex, onto the bridge, turn 11, which is today negotiated under slightly less frenetic circumstances. The fast downhill run through the sweeping right-hand turn 12 onto the pit straight is just as hair-raising as it ever was. Tonight, it's the Lonestar Racing GT3 Series, and it's coming up next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Singer with HBR TV, coming to you from virtual Road Atlanta. Qualifying already underway here at the circuit. Let's go down trackside and see where drivers are starting to stack up. Ten-minute session here in qualifying. Currently Terry Crouch, the fastest. Kevin Burrows, Randall White, Sean Roberts, Chris Pio, the top 5. Already got Haley in the stream chat as always. Thanks for jumping in, Haley. Terry Crouch currently your quickest. Kevin Burrows, Randall White in the top 3. But don't forget Terry Crouch, he's going to have to serve a win penalty here, starting from the rear. Have to see how well he can work his way up through the field. Chris Goins on track, also in a McLaren. Interestingly enough, haven't seen Gaston Masroni take a lap just as of yet. Did have some quick times in the practice session. In fact, let's take a look at those times. Early on, Gaston was fastest, a 17:78. Might just be waiting for his perfect opportunity to get out there. Terry Crouch was second fast. And then TLDR SimSport teammate Kevin Burrows was third. Other notables, James Vance, 5th fast in practice. Andrew Locke was 8th. Aldo Secklin in the 666, he was 4th fast in practice. Ooh, big time impact for Chris Goins. Be lucky there's quick repairs here. James Vance goes P2 for a moment. Now he's back to P3. Nick Coccato is taking that second spot away. Fastest time still Crouch is 17:74. Having some timing tower issues here, trying to get squared away. Don't know why it's doing just that, but hopefully it straightens itself out. And James Vance, Andrew Locke running yin and yang BMWs, both with Liqui-Moly livery on those cars. Just under 2 minutes remain in the session. Terry Crouch still your fastest. Again, still not a quick time posted for Gaston Masseroni. Don't know if he's opting to sit this quali session out or not. Again, with that much pace early on. Gaston finally on track here with just about a minute left in the session. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get out there and get going. I don't know that he's taken the green on his first timed lap. He may have. In fact, actually looking at it from this perspective, it's not the case. He may even need to hustle here to start that lap. 30 seconds remain in the session. He's coming down the hill here from turn 9 into 10A. Quick left, right, 10A, 10B into 11, 12. 9:47, 48. Looks like Gaston's going to opt not to qualify. Very interesting. Can only guess there's some strategy at play here, but Terry Crouch's strategy. I got to start in the back. Just going to go fast here in qualifying just to earn that pole position, trying to pick up some bonus points. Terry finishes up here, qualifying just past 10 minutes here. Again, we have a couple of minutes here to wrap up the existing laps. We are going to jump out here, step aside, get a break out of the way, and we'll be back after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Let's get a look at our starting grid for round number 7 from Road Atlanta. On the pole position with a minute 17.742 second lap, Terry Crouch, though he does need to go to the rear of the field. Outside front row is going to inherit the pole. It's going to be Nick Ciccato. Row number 2, it's the Canadian James Vance starting third with Kevin Burrows to his outside. Aldo Secklin will start in the 5th position. Dave Seats will roll 6th. 7th starting position, the American of Andrew Locke. Randall White will start in the 8th spot. Starting in the 9th position, Dave Tamura. Sean Roberts will roll from the 10th spot, the number 66 machine. 11th will go to Chris Pio. Mike Piazza with Time Slice Motorsports will roll 12th. Alexis Mandrakia 13th. Daniel Clark 14th. Starting in the 15th spot, it's Chris Goins with Alfredo Tricarici 16th. Brandon Domain starting in the 17th spot. Lee O. Tucker 18th. Nick Batista 19th. Gaston Masseroni, surprised didn't get a lap in qualifying. He'll start 20th. Justin T. Wilkinson 21st. Kevin Blue, Lonestar Racing, will start 22nd. Travis Martin in the 23rd position. Greg Olenek 24th. And shotgun on the field with King Motorsports, it's Robert King. It's your starting field, your starting grid here for the Lonestar Racing GT3 Series from Road Atlanta. Working the backstretch now. We'll take the green flag here in just a moment or two. So front row is going to be the BMWs of James Vance and Nick Ciccato, then the Ferrari of Aldo Secklin, and then a couple more BMWs in behind. Another German entry, the Mercedes, Dave Seats, and then 2 more BMWs, a Porsche, and then 10th, it's Chris Pio in the Ford. Green flag is out. We're underway. Looks like trouble at the start. Terry Crouch involved in it. Gets back on the track. We'll go back and take a look at it here in just a moment. Mercedes and Dave Seats also in trouble. Nick Ciccato out to a good lead here already. Just getting ready to complete lap number 1. It's almost 1.5 seconds back to James Vance. Let's go back and take a look at it here on the start. Terry Crouch having his own issue again from the back. Had a car to the inside. We'll back this up a little further here. Maybe we'll get a look at it from the blimp. Car to the inside, just makes some contact, spins himself around, a little bit of damage. Nothing he's not going to be able to drive away with. Dave Seats also had his own issue, lap 1. See Seats in the Mercedes, just behind the Ferrari of Aldo Secklin. Wide entry, gets off in the grass. Drives it through the grass, tries to dirt track it on through there. Just spins himself around. Robert King also having an issue. Some side-by-side contact through the S's. King in that Lamborghini. Grass to grass. Looks like he might have made contact. That could have been the 3 of Gaston Masroni. Not sure. Meanwhile, Nick Ciccato still out front. He's got 1.6 back to James Vance, although Seklin's jumped into the 3rd position. Ciccato maintains the lead, but Vance starting to chip away at it. Looks like Robert King has crashed again. Let's check on the incident here with the Lamborghini. Drives it way too deep, gets off in the grass. Does make contact with the barrier. Whitey got into the tire pack. Car doesn't look too damaged. Actually looks pretty good. Continues back on. Watching Aldo Seklin, he's closing in on James Vance as well. Vance is going to have to keep an eye on the rearview mirror here. Seklin is coming. Aldo, one of only 2 Ferraris in the field today. Kevin Blue was listed as one, did not take the green flag, was able to get in and do a little bit of admin work before the race went green. Out the back window of the BMW of James Vance, back at Aldo Seklin. And Aldo right there, 3.5 tenths off the back bumper of Vance. Only 6 minutes into this 60-minute race. Again, they're running on short fuel setups here, so we're going to see a 2-stop race at minimum. It's really been adding to the race strategy as Aldo makes a move to the inside. Gets a fender alongside Vance. Vance fights back. Doesn't lift, doesn't give up the spot, maintains P2. Vance and Seklin battling for that 2nd position here early on. We're only 7 minutes in. Looks like Vance might have missed his entry just a bit. Taking a defensive line here. Both drivers run very wide. That's a good place to do it. Vance has extended his lead over Seklin again to about 3 tenths. Loses a little bit of ground here. Don't know if that's just due to the corner exit or the difference between the BMW and the Ferrari. Vance taking a defensive entry down into this chicane that has been added. I say it has been added. It has not been a recent add. It's been there a while. Secklin takes another look to the inside, but nothing available there off the final corner here, turn 12. Continuing to watch this battle. Kakano still starting to stretch things out here as they continue to fight for the second spot. Last lap, Aldo was about a half a tenth quicker than Vance. I know that's not much, but given that he's riding in the tire tracks of Vance, takes a peek to the inside, or outside for that matter, tucks back in line. And this is down through 10A and 10B. Secklin all over the back bumper of that BMW, trying to find a way around. Vance takes a defensive line once again, crosses over. Big time move for Secklin. Doesn't have enough room to get in there. Just trying to get in the mirrors, I think, of James Vance. Unable to do anything with it into turn 1. Down through the S's. Great action here at Road Atlanta, watching these two go at it. Last lap for Vance was a tenth and a half slower than the third place running Secklin in the Ferrari. Vance doing a good job maintaining that position. Vance fresh off running at Sebring in the Daily Motorsports Hyundai TCRN machine. Unfortunately running into some mechanical problems. Really able to get a whole lot of time in the race car for the race itself. Certainly move on to the next one. Gap from second to third has begun to stabilize between Vance and Secklin. Might just be a matter of Secklin saving some tire, maybe getting some heat out of those tires, let them cool off. He's awfully aggressive there for a little while, trying to get by the 87 BMW of James Vance. Meanwhile, getting word that Gaston Masroni has had an issue on track. Let's go back and check here. Don't see any issues as far as damage is concerned. Maybe a little bit to the nose. Let's get a look at it. Gaston in the 3 machine. Starting to catch a teammate. Oh, crash up ahead of him. Chris Goins possibly. And oh, big time impact. Gaston gets the right sides in the grass and sends him hard left into the barrier. Watch this one here again, hopefully get a blimp view of it. Chris Goins. Oh, doesn't like that curb. And then Gaston gets the grass and it just sends him over. Big nose first impact and then slides it across just to get out of traffic. A wise move, but still banged up the back of the car as well. So Masroni back into P20. That's where he started. Certainly not where he was running when that incident happened. 10 laps in here at Road Atlanta, 12 and a half minutes complete. Although Secklin running third in behind James Vance. Vance has doubled his advantage over the Ferrari here. It was 3/10. Now it's grown even bigger. It's almost 8/10. Going down the proverbial back straightaway. Kind of surprised, though, if just Nick Caccato is saving his stuff while those two were doing battle. He did gain some time, but not anywhere near as much as I would have expected to see that BMW pull away while those two were fighting for position. The deficit back to Vance, still only 2.2. You see it there, Caccato and Vance really on the same straightaway here on the front stretch. James Vance saves it, gets in the grass a bit. He's going to lose the spot for sure. Gathers it back up. We saw that thing hung out sideways. Incredible save by James Vance. How he hung on to it, I don't know, but he's got Kevin Burrows to deal with. He's alongside. Vance drives it way deep into the corner once again, down into turn 6 and 7. Not willing to give up any more positions, but here comes Andrew Locke. This might be why James really wants to stay in front of Burrows here. He's trying to help his teammate Andrew get up there together. These guys can run together, be comfortable around one another. They might be able to make up some pretty good lap times. So Vance, Burrows, and Locke. Locke gets to the inside of Burrows. He's going to take the spot away. Crazy moments here at Road Atlanta. Let's try and get a look at it again here, see what happened with James Vance. I may need to back this up. Tank slapped it, it looks like. I will have to back it up, but let's. It's going to be worth it, I think. We'll try to go to a blimp cam here. Do we have a view of it? Yes, we do. The blue machine, the BMW, James Vance, just gets on the power, overturns it, little oversteer. Man, he just drifts it right through, drives it up through the grass. Gets back on the racetrack, doesn't swap over to the other side. Bit of a mistake, but a great save. Andrew Locke running in the 4th position now. Third all the way back to P7, it's the BMWs. BMW in front as well, although Secklin, the lone Ferrari in this mix, in the 2nd spot. Dave Seats having an issue going off track. Remember, he had an issue early on in this race as well. Lap 1, got himself in the grass. Dave Tamir running in P7. Back to Andrew Locke in 4th. Is the closest battle on track here. These 4 BMWs, all 4 position. It's Vance, Locke, Burrows, and White. Dave Seats having another issue on the track here. Let's take a look at it. This might have done him in here through the S's. Just gets the right sides off. Frustration kicking in, and I think he's just going to throw in the towel here. Terry Crouch, a rough start to this race. He's already up into the 12th position. bad enough he had to go to the rear for his win penalty, but had an issue immediately coming to green. Haley from Sweden, sadly needing to go to bed. Don't let us keep you up. Can't believe you even watch these things this late in Sweden. Certainly do appreciate it. Have a wonderful night. But yes, Terry Crouch. Disastrous start to this race, but he's starting to make the best of it here, up to P11 now. Certainly was fast in practice, had the fastest time in qualifying, just didn't get to benefit that much from it, at least on track. He will have that first pit stall, which is nice. Some drivers opting for pit lane already. We're not even at the 20-minute mark yet. Alfredo Tricarici, the first to hit pit lane. Others have as well. Kevin Burrows did opt for the pits as well. Not sure the strategy we're working here. Again, we kind of expect a two-stop race. I'm not 100% sure if these guys are within their fuel window. If they stop now, can they go all the way to the end? They're just getting it over with now. Try and finish this thing on real light fuel. Daniel Clark in pit lane, another BMW. With a couple of exceptions, this has kind of turned into the Lonestar Racing BMW Spec Series. Nick Batista in the Ferrari down pit lane. Starting to see some drivers. It's definitely scheduled stops here for these drivers. Everyone on different strategies, of course. Tires going on some of these cars. Very, very early to put a new set of tires on these cars. Many of these drivers can probably go the full race distance without changing them at all. So with that, we're going to jump out, get a break out of the way. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Road Atlanta, leaders just completing their pit stops. Nick Cacano, Aldo Secklin, James Vance. Other drivers in the pit lane, Terry Crouch being one of them. We have Kevin Blue up in the broadcast booth with us now. You're unable to make the race tonight, but here a little better late than never. Thanks for jumping up here, Kevin.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's not here, so figured I'd give you somebody to talk to for a little while.
Better than talking to myself, I guess, right?
Hey, you're doing a great job, man.
I try. Well, so walk us through. I know we kind of talked off air for a moment there about some of the penalties that were administered. I know Terry Crouch, of course, had to go to the back for his win penalty. But we were kind of curious watching Gaston out there. Made a very slow pace lap in qualifying and ended up starting out at the back. Want to walk us through that one?
Yeah, well, we do have a protest system in the league, and he was protested by somebody, and he got into. Oh, sorry, somebody was talking in the background there. But he got into somebody last week, and they protested him, and he was deemed to have been the at-fault car for that, so he got a penalty point, which is usually just a warning. But he also had a few other issues in the race, so he ended up getting 2 penalty points last week, and 2 penalty points in this league, you get an EOL for the next race.
Well, it's over with now. He's back on track. He's running 15th. He's up 5 spots to where he started, if not more, based on where he went to the back. Next week, of course, is another race. He doesn't have to worry about the EOL as long as this thing comes out clean.
Right. Now he will have the 2 points still on his record, and if he has 2 races in a row where he hasn't been protested or doesn't have any incidents, those points will clear off. So if something happens, in this race and he gets protested again, gets a 3rd point, he'll get a drive-through next week as well as an EOL. So,
well, Andrew Locke off the track here. Let's take a look and see what happened with Andrew. He's coming back onto the track. Looks like he may have had this happen in a high-speed part of the track.
Man, he was really making his way up there too.
Let's watch it again here from a different angle. It looks like he locked up the rears or just got it loose. Very similar to James Vance, except Vance was able to save it.
Yeah, that part of the track's tough, man. That curb, you really got to take a lot of that curb, and if you don't hit it just right, you'll always end up on that inside wall.
And we've already seen a couple of guys have an issue there on exit.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks, man. It's a shame I missed tonight. I worked late, wasn't able to get in here in time, but yeah, man, this is one of my favorite tracks. I only live about an hour and 30 minutes from here, so I've been here a bunch of times. It's an awesome track, man. There's always good racing. As you can see here, I mean, it puts on a good show.
Yeah, never a place I've been able to get to. It's not my favorite as far as driving is concerned, but it's certainly a really cool, interesting track. I'd love to get down there one of these days to maybe check out Petit Le Mans, or really anything for that matter.
Yeah, I'm planning on going to Petit Le Mans this year. I've been there a couple times for, I went with my buddy for some track day stuff for his club days and stuff like that. But believe it or not, it was really funny. I was driving back when I was a big fisherman. I was driving to a bait shop there that's near there, and I just drove past, and it happened to be the day that Petit Le Mans was there. And you will not believe how the last turn coming down the hill is in real life. It is unbelievably steep, and those cars absolutely fly around that thing.
Well, we certainly talked about it in the open, about how this place is kind of just like a roller coaster of a racetrack.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That final hill is kind of like the first big hill at many roller coasters. So that's, I bet it's something to see in real life. I mean, Watkins Glen is very similar to that, at least in the S's. That vertical climb going up turn 2, 3, and 4 there in the S's, TV does not do it justice. I've taken some laps out there in my personal vehicle, and it's insane how much elevation change that place really has.
Oh yeah, you just don't believe some of these turns, how fast these guys take them in real life. I mean, we drive it in iRacing, but you can take all the risk you want in the simulator. I mean, in real life, these guys could come off that final turn and slam the wall and really hurt themselves. But it is unbelievable how fast those guys come off that turn.
Yeah, it's one thing you don't need in iRacing is a helicopter just in case. And in the real deal, guys that have maybe hit a wall once or twice, they know what it feels like, and it might make them think twice about mashing that throttle a little harder every lap.
Yeah, I'm sure James here has hit the wall a few times in his career.
He's been doing it a while, so I'm sure he's had his share.
Yeah. Well, like I was telling you earlier, man, that was a heck of a save.
You know, it really was.
Saved it.
I don't know how he managed to not spin that thing completely around and then get him in the grass. He still manages to drive out, doesn't cross the track, just gets right back in the racing line. Only lost a spot, maybe 2, and quickly got it back, and now you see him running in P3 here.
Yep. Terry's made his way up to P9. And P8, I guess he just passed Andrew Locke.
Well, remember, Andrew had his share of issues just a moment ago. He's still on track. 16. His last stop was at lap 16, so maybe not too much damage on that BMW. It doesn't look too terribly bad.
Yeah, he might be a little bit slow. I mean, that wall's pretty unforgiving.
I mean, it was tire packed nonetheless, but man, he's bouncing that car all through the S's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Andrew's no slouch, man. You know, last season in the sports car series, if James wasn't up there, he was up there. I mean, he's pretty fast.
And honestly, Andrew is the reason I've got any pace whatsoever on road courses. When I first jumped into iRacing, I was messing around with some of these IMSA cars, and all of a sudden I just see his name. And to give you the backstory on it, I mean, you've already know some of it. I've known Andrew personally probably 20 years. We went to the same high school together, and I see his name,
wow.
and all of a sudden I'm like, are you the same Andrew Locke in Fairport? He's like, yep. I'm like, oh, what's going on? So we started turning some laps together. We ran an endurance race or two, and then it was the GTE cars, so things were a little bit different as far as some of the enduros went, but taught me about trail braking and all that sort of thing. So yeah, if you guys complain about me being quick, blame him.
Yeah, you're definitely pretty quick, man. Tell you who else is quick is Aldo, man. He seems to be it looks like he's kind of going back and forth there with Nick Cotto. He's if anyone's going to catch that guy, it's going to be Aldo. Aldo seems to find pace throughout the race.
Well, that's an interesting thing. It's like we watched some races with Aldo. I think it was the Spa 3 hour. He actually, I think, won that race. And then I think it was the first GT3 series that you guys ran here at LSR. He was lights out. It's interesting to see that the level of competition that you've brought into this league. You know, guys like Aldo Secklin definitely not going to run away with anything. He's having a solid run in second spot, but he's certainly going to have to work for it.
Yeah, I remember last season, you know, we just had our little ragtag bunch of guys, and you know, half of them weren't really road racers. They were just kind of hanging out and racing to be nice to me, and Aldo shows up and just blows us all away every week. I mean, he was playing games with us at one point. I mean, he knew that he was a lot faster than us, and we didn't care. He's a nice guy, you know. I'd rather.
I heard the tire noise. I wasn't sure where it was coming from, but looks like Leo Tucker was in behind the trees there. Let's get a look at it. Same spot as Andrew Locke, same way too. Looks like he might have sit the same spot. Yep. Does he hit the wall? Oh, he hits the hard part.
I just barely touched it there, so hopefully he's all right. That's unfortunate though. That's always going to be a spot right there. People always lose it right there.
Nick Batista,
but yeah,
as well. Runs a little wide.
Yeah, I got in the grass. Yep. Oh, okay, he saved it.
Got lucky on that one.
Yeah. I think I'm watching your stream, so I'm a little bit behind you. But yeah, Aldo's quick, man. He showed up, raced with us. He's stuck with us ever since. Yeah, I think he either won or came in second in the Spa 3 hour charity race, and him and I think it's Juan Rivas was his partner. Yeah, he's always stuck with us, man. He just got back from Peru on a trip, so I don't think he's actually had much practice here. So he's doing pretty good for not having much practice and just coming back from international trip.
You and I were talking. I think he's from Peru, but did he recently move to Florida? Is that what we were saying?
I believe he moved a few years ago.
Okay.
He was. I believe he was living near Tampa, and I think he just moved down to Miami. That's why he missed the first couple races.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm not looking forward to if I ever move out of the place I'm at, is tearing this rig down and getting it set up in time for the next broadcast. That's when you do it 5 nights a week, it's a little tough to try and plan that, but if the time comes, I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the gap between Cocotto and Secklin is 1.2. It is coming down a little bit each lap. Last lap for Secklin was an 18.61 to a 57 for Cocotto. The previous lap, Secklin was about a 10th quicker, but it's kind of going back and forth. Kevin, you kind of pointed that out earlier.
Yeah, I tell you what though, man, Aldo's just finding his groove here. I mean, I don't see why he won't be able to, you know, barring something catastrophic happens to him. I don't see why they're not going to be racing each other for the win.
We do have another set of pit stops to worry about too before this thing is over. Are any of these races going to go 3-stop race? I know some guys were hitting pits here at 18 minutes in. I think that's way too early unless they really can get enough fuel to finish it out.
We did a lot of calculations with it, and I'm pretty sure the only race that might end up like that is the last race at Daytona, just because it's a 90-minute race. Yeah, 90-minute race, double points race. But we also talked about bumping up the fuel percentage a little bit just to make it a 2-stop race. So we're me and the stewards are still trying to figure that out. But if any of the races is going to be that Daytona race.
Time will tell. I can still say this over and over again, though. Thank you for changing the fuel on these cars. Not so much the setup. I know the drivers might like it different, like it a little bit better, but man, just making these pit stops, one more stop has changed the strategy here in these races significantly, and it's made them 10 times more exciting.
Yes, these cars, when they get a lot of fuel in them, I mean, you know, especially running endurance races, I mean, if you're running 100% fuel, they just feel like a big boat driving around, and they're not very racy. You know, with 40% fuel, actually the sprint setup is the exact same setup as the high downforce setup. I mean, just called something different. It's got a lower fuel number, but just that lower fuel number, man, it just makes them so much racier and more fun to drive. And you don't have to sit there and burn the tires up with almost a full tank.
Aldo might have had a bit of an issue there getting by the other Ferrari. That was Nick Batista, I believe. Yes, indeed, it was. Not sure if they made contact at all, but Secklin definitely lost some time. It was 1.3. Now it's 2 seconds. On board with Chris Pyle and the only Ford in the field. Now over to Sean Roberts in the Porsche. Roberts just ahead of Terry Crouch. Terry up into the 7th spot. Crazy run for Terry Crouch already here. We're just past halfway. Remember, Terry had to go to the back for the wind penalty. Had another problem right at the start.
Yeah, imagine he hadn't spun at the start where he'd be. He'd probably be up chasing the leaders right now.
I mean, in all reality, though, I guess that's the best. If you're going to have a problem and you had to pick when it's going to happen, that's the time. You're going to be at the back anyway.
Yep.
Didn't have a whole lot of damage, if any.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to make up that time when everyone's kind of close together at the start.
And he's in clean air. He didn't have to worry about much of anybody. Yeah, he was going to start catching some cars, but he had time to get some heat in the tires before he caught those cars. He's turning some decent laps. His best so far is a minute 18:29. I think that might be the fastest so far of the day of anybody. Nope. Aldo Secklin, 18:07.
There you go.
So second fast for Terry Crouch. Race isn't over yet. He did throw down a 17 in practice and qualifying. I can certainly expect it to be possible here at some point.
I don't see how Sean's driving that, keeping control of that Porsche. Every time I try to drive the Porsche, I just eat it on almost every time.
It's a tough car to drive, 100%, especially when you got Terry Crouch all over your back bumper. Oh, Terry gets into the Sean Roberts. Contact, he locks him up.
Oh.
Doesn't spin him.
Wow, that was lucky there.
Let's go on board with Terry Crouch. Let's see if he can make a clean pass here on Sean Roberts. This is for position.
Yeah, Sean just mic'd up and checked on Terry, made sure he was all right. It seemed like they're not upset with each other or anything.
Terry's aggressive, Terry's fast, but he's certainly not a dirty driver. He will not wreck you intentionally. Yes, things happen. You know, being a fast guy, you roll up on somebody that's not always as fast. You might have a much later braking point. It can be challenging because you might make a pass in a couple of laps. All right, well, now I'm on to the next guy. I got to figure out where is he hitting the brakes. Is he later? Is he earlier than me? Roberts goes wide. Terry Crouch in pit lane.
Yeah, Terry's kind of messed up in the head too. He could have picked an easier car to drive, but he decided on the McLaren just because it was harder to drive. He wanted more of a challenge, so.
I'm just going to pick the fastest car I can get.
I know, man. That's why it's the BMW League. Everyone likes the BMWs.
So I got to ask, I know this is, you know, it's hindsight being 2020, but for the next season in GT3, do you limit the number of drivers eligible to take a particular manufacturer's vehicle? You know, do you plan on a 30-car field or more and kind of say, all right, well, there's 5 spots for BMW, 5 spots for Ferrari, 5 spots for this, so that you do have some diversity throughout the field?
Yeah, that's something to think about. You know, in the end, though, I just want people to drive what they like driving, you know, and just so they have more fun. I'd hate for somebody to, you know, join the league and be forced to drive the Porsche or something and then just absolutely hate it the whole season. That's why I usually end up giving them a few chances to switch cars if, you know, if iRacing doesn't update or we change the setup and fuel like we did. I allowed them to change cars if they wanted to. Yeah, usually it's not like this though. I mean, I know every time there's an update, I know there's always a car that is kind of a little bit better than all the other ones, but you know, I've never seen it like this where almost everyone's driving a BMW or everyone driving one car. Honestly, that's why I switched back to the Ferrari whenever I can drive.
It's funny because
the,
the Mercedes, once that one first came out, that thing seemed to be what everybody wanted to be in. And
yeah.
Now we've got one.
Yeah, that Mercedes was that thing was a force to be reckoned with last season and the season before, whenever it came out. I mean, it was like every endurance race was just Mercedes versus LMP2.
I still like it.
Yeah, it's a great car. I mean, it's a little more understeery that I really like. I know a lot of people say it's.
Leaders down pit road here. Nick Ciccato had pressure coming from Aldo Secklin. 40 minutes in here, Ciccato down pit lane. Aldo's going to take over the top spot.
That was a pretty good pit entrance there. This is going to be interesting to see how quick Aldo gets in the pits here, if he can get any time.
Aldo's still on track. It's going to move Vance up to the second spot. Randall White to P3. Second round of green flag stops underway here at Road Atlanta. Final stop for most of these drivers, if not all. Looks like fuel only for Ciccato. Long stop. It's down and away. Ciccato 18:27 in the box.
Yeah, I know some of these guys were talking about splitting up the fuel. You know, a lot of people just kind of run the fuel out and then run the fuel out again and then have light fuel for the end. But some of these guys were talking about splitting it up a little bit more where it's more even throughout the whole race. And I think Terry was talking about that at some point. It seems like a pretty good strategy to me.
Well,
keeps the car feeling about the same the whole race.
If you're talking strategy with Terry Crouch, you shut up and listen, because 9 times out of 10, he's put thousands of laps in to try and figure it out. He did admittedly say he didn't have a whole lot of laps in this week, and then he plainly said that races that he's going to start from the back, he's not going to put a whole lot of effort into it pre-race, because he's going to be back there in the minutia, doesn't want to cause a problem, put all that effort in, and get wrecked in the first 10 minutes. But so far, it seems to be working out for him tonight.
Ciccato was like, get out of the way, you're flashing those lights.
I'm coming. Get out of the way. I'm coming.
Wow.
Well, speaking of coming, we're going. We're going to take a quick HBR TV side-by-side break, our final side-by-side break of the evening. We'll be back after this. Stay with us.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Road Atlanta, the Lonestar Racing GT3 Series, round number 7. 45 minutes in, 14 and a half to go. Aldo Secklin, your new race leader through the cycle of pit stops, and a bit of a mistake from Nick Caccato, running wide through turn 12, keeps it out of the barriers, losing a ton of time on track, not to mention a 2 seconds longer pit stop versus Aldo Secklin. Aldo enjoying a 6.8 second advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Nick to catch Aldo here. Once Aldo gets a lead, man, he just seems to keep extending it and keep extending it. He's hard as heck to pass.
Puts it in smooth operator mode.
Pretty much, man. He's not worried about chasing anybody. He's just running quality laps right now.
The funny thing is, and I recall back to season 1 here, is if you had the pace to make a pass on Aldo, he would let you kind of catch him. Some cases he'd let you pass him, and then a lap later he'd pass you and run away from you.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying.
I'm just messing around, guys. Sorry.
Yep, that's what he did with us, man. I remember I was in second place one time, and he let me pass him. Exactly what you said. He let me pass him, and about 3 turns later, he just flew by me like I was sitting still.
6.8 seconds for the Ferrari of Aldo Secklin. And Nick Caccato just coming down the hill into 10A and B.
Tell you what, too, man. You know, that probably knocked Nicholas Caccato out of his groove, too. You know, he's probably pretty frustrated because of that. So he may not be hitting his marks like he was before.
Yeah, that truly is the thing, too. I mean, even if it's not a forced error, it's an error nonetheless, and you can definitely get inside your head here. And you get to that same corner the next time by, and you're like, oh, okay, I hope I don't do this again. Takes you a couple of laps to regain some confidence and get that pace back. He has cut into it, though. It's down half a second faster now, 6.3 seconds for Aldo. Again, maybe Aldo letting Nick catch him again.
Yeah, Aldo, he might just be keeping it smooth, man. You know, he's got, about 13 minutes left, and I mean, he knows 6 seconds is going to be a lot to make up for him. You know, they've had pretty much the same pace the whole race. So he might just be keeping it smooth.
Yeah, last lap.
Try not to make any mistakes.
Secklin ran a 19:02. Caccato was an 18:93. Pretty close, but not enough to make a huge difference. If Cacato's going to catch Aldo, he's going to need more than that.
Yep. I know that's one thing I'm bad at is if I get behind somebody and I try to push really hard to get to them, I usually end up overdriving the corners and stuff like that. But these guys they got a little bit more behind the wheel time than I do, I believe. Yeah, he's definitely closing the gap slowly but surely.
And Aldo ran a lot slower even that time, a 19:50 to Cacato's 18:73.
He may be trying to keep the tires a little bit cooler too. You know, anticipating a battle at the end.
Or just not trying to catch some of this lap traffic at such a delta that it's a dangerous situation for him. Slowly work your way to him and kind of make a plan to make the pass. You know, don't beat yourself. Ooh, Aldo a little loose off the corner there. Oversteer on the curb. Keeps it straight, though. James Vance still running in the 3rd position. He's about 11.3 back from the lead spot. He's got some company out the back window, though. Randall White in the 4th position, also in a BMW. Pretty equal times between Vance and White. Within half a tenth that lap.
Yeah, when Terry came into the lead, he brought a couple fast guys with him, man. Randall and Kevin. I guess he doesn't run with the slow guys. He keeps the fast guys nearby.
Yeah. Kevin Burrows running in the 5th spot. Terry Crouch. It's funny because you got Randall and Kevin both in BMWs, and Terry's still running this McLaren.
Terry just wants to be different, man.
It looks like through the cycle of stops, Terry did take that spot away from Sean Roberts eventually.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Terry to catch Randall and Kevin before the end of the race.
Andrew Locke running back at the 8th spot after his incident.
You got to think those three being teammates. I wonder what's going to happen there. Are they going to help their teammate out and let him pass him if he catches up to him? Give him a few extra points.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. To be quite honest. Justin T. Wilkinson running in the 9th position, also in a BMW. Justin's actually up 12 spots. He would be our biggest mover officially. And we can't give that one to Terry Crouch because he qualified technically on pole just because he had to start in the back. He's not eligible for that. And every time I see it from that angle, I think they're running off the course.
Yeah. That's one of the that turn right there, and right before you, when you're going up the hill after turn 1, right there at turn 2 and 3, those are tough turns
Totally
to get
blind.
the hang of. Yeah, absolutely. I just always try to look for the tree and aim for the tree when I'm going up the hill, and then when you're going around the last turn and you go into the bridge, you just kind of aim for the flag that's hanging there. And that flag's actually there in real life, so that's what people do in real life. They aim for that flag, puts them on the right course for the final turn.
Some tracks have brake markers, other tracks have landmarks, whether it's a tree or a flagpole. You got to find something to indicate when to turn in and get on the brakes, then back to throttle.
Yep. That's one hard thing about this track, man. Is turn 1. There's really not that good of a braking marker there. You kind of got to use the edge of the wall there as your braking marker, or somewhere near it. Depends on how brave you are.
Vance seems to understeer just a bit here at the top of the hill, coming down through the S's.
Yeah, there's a couple curves. I believe it's the first 2 curves on the S's. You really don't want to take the curves there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the last one. It's been a while since I've driven this track, and my memory's terrible.
Join the club. Oh, Vance gets the left rear in the grass, or the dirt for that matter, keeps it down the road. Kevin Burrows just in behind, licking his chops, hoping for another position. Correction, Randall White in 4th, Kevin Burrows back in the 5th spot.
This could get interesting here.
Battle for position down into 10A and B. Vance having the pressure applied. Going to be 6 minutes to go here at Road Atlanta. Got 41 laps complete. They do click by in a hurry here.
Oh yeah, definitely one of the shorter tracks, but there's a lot of action in that short period of time. There's a lot of places to pass and a lot of places to screw up. It's pretty stressful running a race here, especially if you're fighting with people the whole time. Get pretty stressful.
I just can't imagine class racing at Road Atlanta here. I guess the delta between the prototypes and these cars, especially with the blind corners coming down through the S's. We've seen it even in real life.
I remember in the sports car series last year, I was driving an LMP2, and it was just white. I was just white knuckling the whole time. It was it's pretty crazy in the LMP2 car. Now that we got the GTP car, whenever the IMSA series comes here, it's got to be wild. That was pretty good right there. Was that Chris Pio and
Gaston
side by side?
5 minutes remain. Aldo Secklin still the race leader over Nick Caccato. Back to the battle with James Vance and Randall White. Vance does stretch it out just a bit, about 7/10 on the BMW of White.
You notice the gap between Nicholas Caccato and Aldo stayed right there at 6 seconds. So I think Aldo's managing that pretty well.
Keeping it comfortable. Kakado ran in 1880, Secklin in 1877.
There you go. Aldo's just messing with us.
I'll go when I want to go.
You know, I bet James is, I bet he's dragging pretty good right now because, you know, he spent all weekend at Sebring between racing TCR and spotting for the 12-hour. He's got to be pretty tired.
Yeah, spotting for sure. And unfortunately, as far as the TCR race, I don't think James had a lot of laps in the car during the race. I think they only got 1 or 2 in. The driver right before him, they had a mechanical failure. I want to say they lost an axle shaft, I believe. He got in the car and they just couldn't make the pace because of that issue. They retired it much soon after that. So I don't think James got a whole lot of race time in it.
Man, that's unfortunate. I knew that they had some car trouble. I didn't know that he didn't get to turn many laps.
I'm sure they obviously had plenty of practice laps and such, but Sebring's a cool place. I know if he's going to go down there and get the opportunity to race no matter what it's in, you want to go out there and run, and unfortunately it just didn't pan out. Meanwhile, Kevin Burrows is taking the spot away from Randall White.
Ooh.
Just over 3 minutes remaining here at Road Atlanta. I don't know if Kevin, he's going to have enough to crack down and chase James Vance here, maybe put a challenge on for position. He was 4.5 tenths faster than Vance that last lap.
Yeah, those TLDR guys are no slouches. They're consistent, they're quick, they're clean drivers. You know, I'm happy to have them in the league. They're a good addition.
It's nice to see different battles throughout the field, and not just out front where you got your fast guys that are always going to be there, but you know, here we are. This is a battle for essentially the 3rd place. So this is still kind of towards the front of the field, but you've got guys scattered everywhere that have an opportunity to perform well and put on a good show.
Oh yeah, you better. You know, it used to be we just jump in here and run for fun, but I mean, if you want to really compete in this league, you really need to put in the testing and dedicate a good part of your week to learning the track and getting the track down. That's one of my downfalls anytime I get to race. Is I pretty much only get about an hour before the race to practice.
Well, that's really why I opted to broadcast it this season, because just with the schedule with HBR TV, there's no way I'd be able to put the time in that's really necessary to even be remotely on pace with a lot of these guys.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad the fast guys are here, man. It just brings the level of the league up. It's going to attract more fast guys. I mean, they're going to tell their guys that they race with about it. And, you know, before long, we're going to have a premier league here if we can keep this thing going and keep these guys racing with us.
I don't see why not. You put on a good competitive league. You're fair with the guys.
Yeah, that's a thing, man. It's like when you run one of these series, you got to be fair with everybody, but you know, at the same time, you got to remember this isn't a professional race. This is just everyone's doing this for fun. I mean, we don't come out in the garage, go in your man cave, whatever, and you know, spend hours doing this because it's not fun. There's the white flag.
Final lap for Aldo. Secklin crosses the stripe. Down into
he can
turn
just
1.
cruise around here, man. He can just cruise around and take the win.
Just got to bring the car home one more lap here from Road Atlanta. Plenty of distance out the back window to Nick Kakado. It's rounded up to 5.2 seconds to the number 2 BMW. James Vance 13.5 back, still in the 3rd position. Take a quick peek in here. The battle between himself and Kevin Burrows, it really hasn't materialized as of yet.
Yeah, as long as James can stay clean there, man, I think he's got that locked up. I mean, he's got a pretty good little gap there, and I don't see him making any mistakes here. I think he's got pretty much the hardest part of the track. So.
Secklin down the backstretch here through turns 8 and 9 if we want to be technical. A little kink to the right, then a heavy downhill into 10A, 10B. Final corner for Aldo Secklin. The Ferrari is going to get its first win of the season here in the Lonestar Racing GT3 Series. And Road Atlanta, although Secklin takes the checkered flag, Nick Ciccato is going to come home in the second spot. Battle with James Vance and Kevin Burrows, not to be. James Vance, P3.
Yeah, some good racing. There's a lot of good saves. There wasn't too many incidents in the race, except for a few people losing it, getting in the grass and stuff like that. But it was definitely a lot cleaner than last week.
Can't all be gems. This one was pretty decent. Change of the lead, some issues with the fast guys. Gaston having his share of issues, again finishing P13, still made it up 7 spots.
Yeah, that's he had a tough time there. He wasn't too happy about the penalties, but I'm glad he stuck with it and got as many points as he could.
Well, Aldo Secklin, your race winner here at Road Atlanta. We're going to jump out, get one more break out of the way before we have our top 3 finishers up in the broadcast booth. Stay with us. We'll be back.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing
didn't get a chance to practice. I just got back home today, so then I did a few laps in the morning. But Road Atlanta is a track that I know pretty well. So I didn't do well on qualified, but I knew this track, you just need to be constant, and doesn't matter if you're fast. So I tried to do that, and I think that worked out. Yeah.
Well, either way, it's very impressive. I know you had some lap traffic that you had to deal with. You seemed to get through those guys okay. It seemed late in the run, Nick was starting to chip into that lead for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, Aldo does what Aldo does. He starts going faster, and that deficit stopped shrinking. Was it just a matter of trying to save something for the end in case you needed it? Or were you just kind of toying with Nick Caccato?
I didn't want to risk too much. But then when I lost probably a half a second, because I was getting close, and then I don't remember, someone was in front of me and I lost like half a second. Then I said whatever, let's go for it. So I started doing my best. Luckily, it worked.
Well, we found so many times, personally at least, when you try to take it easy and try to slow down, sometimes you can kind of cause yourself to force an error instead of just running the pace that you've been doing all day. So sometimes that does happen.
Correct.
Well, Aldo, again, congratulations on the win. What are your thoughts rolling into Hungaroring for the next week's race?
Well, that's a track that I don't like that much, but now I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to race next Monday, but I'll try for sure.
Well, at the very least, congratulations here at Road Atlanta. We're going to let you go. Who do you want to shout out to?
Just my wife, who always supports me, so thanks to her.
Good choice, Aldo. Congratulations, man, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
It's Aldo Secklin, your race winner here in the Ferrari at Road Atlanta. We do not have Nick Caccato. He was our second place finisher here at Road Atlanta. Had a great run, started on the front row. Effectively was the pole sitter after Terry Crouch had to go to the rear. Led a lot of this race, had plenty of pace, but unfortunately just had some issues with some slower traffic, ended up off track a couple of times. Things just went downhill for Nick Caccato, but either way, gathered it back up. Still a strong finish. Qualified P2, finished P2. I'm sure he would have rather have transferred that into a win, but it is what it is. Not the case to be, but still second place. So, without Nick in the broadcast booth, we're going to go to third place finisher James Vance and get a word with the driver of that BMW. James, it's Steve in the HBR TV broadcast booth. Are you with us? James Vance, it's Steve in the broadcast booth. You got us?
Yeah, what's up, you legend?
There you go. James Vance, driver of this BMW here, finishing P3 at Road Atlanta. Talk us through your race, man. I know you had the lights flashing and some frustrations early on, but still battled back for a top three, man. Walk us through it.
I'm going to be honest with you, Steve. That was a nightmare. I haven't touched the sim in a while, and I've just been busy. We had Sebring last week, and we got Phoenix coming up, and I've just been flat out. And so Andrew actually texted me at like 7:45, and he was like, "Hey, are you doing the race tonight?" I was like, "Oh my goodness!" So kind of hopped on 20 minutes into practice there, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, we got decent pace comparatively, and qualified I think P3, and then I kind of just was out of the groove from the get-go because I was under the assumption when Terry got the EOL, I kind of was controlling the pace off the start, and I think it was just a bit of confusion there, and so I was trying to push to catch the 1 second gap or 1.5 second gap that Nick had pulled on me, and I just made some mistakes. Totally just my fault, just made some really silly, frustrating mistakes as you do. But yeah, happy to get P3, happy to get the points, and on to the next.
Now, speaking of mistakes, I want to talk about one that really lateraled into an amazing save. I think it was coming out of turn 4 in the S's, I believe. Maybe it was 5. I have to go back and look. But you drove that thing sideways like an NASCAR Cup car and managed to only get the grass, didn't get the barrier, got back in it, only lost one spot. That could have been race over, man, but walk us through that crazy save.
Oh, buddy, your guess is as good as mine. Yeah, what's that term in golf? Hit and hope. It was like a turn and hope. I mean, I to be honest with you, I used what I learned from driving NASCAR in real life, and that is like when you've got a real tank slapper and don't turn against it, counter steer, turn into it. So that's what I did. It slowed the momentum of the snap, if you will, and then as soon as I figured like, okay, like if I straighten onto the grass, like and just come out of everything easily, I should be able to save it. But I mean, yeah, that was one of many this week. I think I ended with like 14 out of 15 possible incident points too, which I'm not proud of. But yeah, that was just from dropping wheels and such. So a messy race for me. And I said to Andrew on the last lap, I was like, I am so relieved that this is over, because even the guys, Randall and Kevin, they were doing a great job. They were catching me and taking advantage of my misfortune. Yeah, they did a great job to close that gap down. I was feeling the heat there, Steve.
Well, it was fun to watch, certainly entertaining. We had our eyes on that number 87 quite a bit here tonight. Congratulations on P3. Going into Hungaroring next week. I know you're a busy guy. You might make it, you might not. If you do make it, what are your thoughts on Hungaroring?
I actually really like that track. I feel like I say that to you each week. And that's a good thing, I guess, because if I'm talking to you, it means we're in the podium. Yeah, I'm excited for Hungaroring. I actually am on a flight back from Phoenix that lands at 7 p.m. the day of the race. And I'm going to do my very, very best to make it. I mean, I got a little buffer there to get from the airport back home. But yeah, I'll be doing my best to make it. So just happy to walk away with this one clean, and hopefully we take the momentum on the Hungaroring.
That's all you can do, James. Again, congratulations. Who do you want to shout out to?
I want to shout out Andrew. Thank you so much. He actually hooked me up with some new pedals for my birthday. I've actually yet to use them, but I'll be using them next week, no doubt. And always an epic teammate. And of course, my fiance Gwen for putting up with me on my sim racing and this crazy racing life. So yeah, and shout out to you guys too, and Kevin and all the guys on the Lonestar side too. Seriously, really cool.
All right, James. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck at Phoenix, and if you're here next week, good luck at Hungaroring.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Take care. James Vance, your third place finisher here at Road Atlanta. That's going to wrap it up for our driver interview portion of tonight's broadcast. So let's take a look at the official race results, at least how they stand as of now. If I can get this thing to load. Of course, we talked to Aldo Secklin, Nick Hakato unavailable for comment, James Vance in P3 we just spoke to, Kevin Burrows was 4th, Randall White, those TLDR SimSport drivers finishing 4th and 5th. Terry Crouch also with TLDR SimSport finishing 6th. A strong run out of the 59. You just have to wonder, if he hadn't had troubles on the start, where would he have ended up? But P6 is where he eventually lands. Andrew Locke in 7th after his issues as well. Still a strong rebound for the 23. Sean Roberts, a solid top 10 in 8th. 9th went to Justin T. Wilkinson. Alexis Mandracchia was 10th. Brandon Domain, 11th. Chris Baio was 12th. Gaston Masroni, 13th. Daniel Clark, 14th. Alfredo Tricarici was 15th. Dave Tamira, P16. Tough night for Chris Goins. He was 17th. Travis Martin, 18th. Mike Piazza was 19th. Nicholas Batista, 20th. Leo Tucker was 21st. Greg Olnick finished in the 22nd position. 23rd went to Dave Seats in the Mercedes. He had a tough night too. Started right off that first lap with problems. 24th, Robert King, and Kevin Blue. He's going to get credit for 25th, but unable to make the green flag here, just in an admin role and up in the booth with us here at HBR TV. We certainly do appreciate Kevin for jumping up there and helping us out with that. Always good to have somebody up in the booth with us. Unfortunately, didn't have Zach Millett with us tonight. The dreaded job got in the way. We should have him back next week for Hungaroring. With that said, my dreaded job has gotten in the way next Monday, so I'm going to have to tape delay that one again. I know. We always prefer to be live, but I don't want to rely on out-of-town hotel internet to try and broadcast. I've made it work in the past, but it is just too sketchy to try, and then I don't have to replay at all, and then we just can't do it in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to tape delay it, which means we got to get through the week's broadcast, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We should be able to broadcast it on Friday of next week. We'll try to get that done. Worst case scenario, we should be able to pop it up on Saturday, but I'll try to get that scheduled for you guys as soon as humanly possible so you can plan for it. We broadcast it live. It's a replay, but I broadcast it live not knowing who's going to win. So please jump in comment on the stream just like you would as if it were live. I'm not going to have any, spoiler alerts out there, nothing like that. I'm not going to know who won, hopefully. And we should have a good time with it. It's been fun. I've had to do it a couple of times with different leagues. It works out. It's not ideal, but it's better than not doing it. So last but not least, we do have a new website. It's under construction, but it does work. Find us at hbrtv1.com. There's really nothing there other than, 2 buttons. One for Facebook, one for YouTube. You can click either of them. It'll take you directly to our pages on social. Please give us a like, a follow, a share, a subscribe, and most importantly, turn on the notifications. Certainly do appreciate that, and it does help you make sure that you don't miss a moment of the action here at HBR TV. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Of course, everyone in the stream chat. Kevin Blue, Haley, of course, Terry Crouch saying, cheered on, yay for Aldo, well earned. Not a real busy stream chat tonight, but that's okay. But thank you all who did jump in and watch tonight, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.